Hi guys, this is Max here, back again with hopefully another great political video. And as so often, today again, we will need to have a little tiny talk about the war in Ukraine. Now, I want to explain the whole war to you based on a map. I like working with maps, they're a very accurate source. And since my channel is generally an election-based channel, and we mostly talk about elections in the United States, at least on this very occasion, I'd like to take a look at a foreign election, at the 2010 Ukrainian general election. Here in pink, we see the counties, the districts that voted for Tymoshenko, the candidate who was pro-European Union. And in blue, or dark blue, we see Yanukovych, the pro-Russian Ukrainian candidate. And I think you will be able to start noticing a pattern in support. The pro-European candidate had her support mostly in the western and northern areas of the country, while the south and east, and especially Crimea and the Donbass region right here, were vehemently pro-Russian. And that makes sense when we take a look at which areas Russia is currently occupying. Here at this map, I can easily show you what's the case. Originally, Russian forces had pushed forward to a point where they were able to, not certainly, but almost encroach on the Ukrainian capital, Kiev. If I draw the line right here, this is approximately how the front line used to look like, because now Russia conducted a withdrawal from the northern area. Thus, the front line has shifted a little. Ukraine has launched a counteroffensive back into the north, and Russian forces are now standing at the border again. So at least in that regard, Ukrainians were able to push the Russians back a little. However, Russia is still trying to go after eastern Ukraine, particularly after the areas that were pro-Russian back in 2010 and that still are today. Now, I want to draw this line as accurate as I possibly can. I think Russia already holds all of Luhansk, which is the easternmost region right here. However, in terms of the Donetsk region, the territory they hold looks more like this. And Russia is currently trying to capture the city of Kharkov. I mean, it's Kharkiv right here because the Ukrainians pronounce it Kharkiv. I believe the majority of the people there speaks Russian though, so actually you can call it Kharkov. Well, anyway, Russia's plan, at least what I believe it is to first take the besieged city of Mariupol and then push into Ukrainian territory from both sides, north and south, cut off the Ukrainians in the central of the country, and establish a new border that stretches from southern Ukraine all the way to the Russian border, and basically annex all of eastern Ukraine into the Russian Federation. Now, perhaps Russia will not officially annex those territories in order to prevent further international disputes. However, at some point Russia will try to negotiate a ceasefire, and the ceasefire line would become the de facto new border. That is all terrible. Literally, it is, because people in eastern Ukraine who maybe supported a pro-Russian Ukrainian candidate many years ago do not necessarily want to become a part of Russia, especially not after the Russian army destroyed their homes and burned everything in their way. If Putin would have tried to peacefully unify Ukrainian Russians with the Russian Federation, that would have been at least acceptable. However, launching a conquest, that's kind of like a big no-no. What would you guys say? I think it's a pretty big no-no. And I'm trying to explain this, but you probably understand. Russia is not allowed to do that. Yet the United States is not really acting in the way that it would benefit Ukraine. Because in order to actually make a difference, we would have to do far more than we do right now. America has delivered defensive weapons to Ukraine, such as anti-tank missiles. But to actually push back against Russia, and in order to recapture the territory that Russia is taking, Ukraine would need offensive weapons. Heavy vehicles such as tanks and jeeps and stuff like that, and America, and especially our European allies, can easily provide that. We have so much equipment in our storages that has never been used since it was being built, and right now the people of Ukraine who are fighting to defend their homes and trying to maintain somewhat of a safety, not just for themselves, but also for the people of Eastern Europe, they could really use those weapons. And they should be handed over to Ukraine immediately, as quickly as possible. Also, in order to finally show some strength against anti-democratic movements. We saw that with the fall of Afghanistan last year. I do not want to see this again with the collapse of Ukraine. Something needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon. And if America doesn't act, then Ukraine could very well be the first step towards a resurgence of the Soviet Union. And that's where I'll end this video for now. I hope you guys learned something from it. I hope you enjoyed it. But most especially, I hope that my call is being heard.